What's going on, all you wild body horror enthusiasts out there? It's your two favorite ghouls back for more 31 Days of Horror. I'm your ghoul and host, Logan Myers. That's my good man over there.
And I'm Henry Cronenberg. And tonight we're talking about that body horror enthusiast himself, the magic and the craziness and the mind full of mayhem that is David Cronenberg. We're talking about one of his earlier films, starring none other than James Woods. Of course, big in Hollywood back in the day. He would go on to shoot Casino and, several notable roles. Big actor back in the day, starring in David Cronenberg's Videodrome.
Television can change your mind. Videodrome will change your body. Long live the new flesh. It will shatter your reality. Videodrome.
And that's right. This film came out 40 years ago to the date and still relevant all these years later. This really dives into a lot of things that we're coming across as humans in 2023. And David Cronenberg is really good at predicting the future as to what's going to happen to us and how things may not change. And, with Videodrome, it really tackles, TV media, weird broadcasts essentially being Videodrome and all the things that really gets in people's minds, essentially.
He really sees the future and puts that in his films. And in Videodrome, it's definitely a mirror of today's society, things that we're dealing with today, everything being broadcast to us, not necessarily streaming, but, he saw the future really with, all the smut and the pornography that's fed to us through the internet mostly, but also through television. And it's dealing with this programmer at a TV station and him seeing this ultra weird broadcast one night showing basically this torture kind of porn that's going on. And it feels really dangerous and cutting edge to him. And he wants to broadcast it on his channel and show it out there to get ahead of the game and, to bring more eyes on his network. And that's who we see with James Woods playing this character, sees this really sleazy video. And it's starring somebody that it was very familiar to me, and I had no idea was in this film when I started it. This was the first time I've watched this film, Videodrome, and there's Debbie Harry herself as the second star in this movie.
Blondie herself in this film. I didn't know that either watching this, but she makes appearance early on. This sets up a scene where James Wood takes her back to his apartment throwing porn, and then they're like all trying to get it on, and it's really like weird and kinky kind of stuff, dive into some S&M and like cutting herself and stuff like that. So it's setting up a weird mind fuck of a smut movie, essentially what Cronenberg's going for, what he's known for, body horror and everything that you can think of in between. And James Woods' character really diving into this and having to do with this bizarre broadcast that really sets up some really trippy ass scenes and some really great practical effects.
I love the practical effects in this. They look awesome, and that's due to none other than the masterful practical, effects wizard himself, Rick Baker, doing the effects in this film. Some of the exploding heads, all the body horror in this film just looks really realistic and gritty with, chests being cut open, James Woods sticking his hand in there with the gun and it getting trapped in there. And then, he's tripping out and the next second it's closed up again. We see that body basically, all ravaged and boils and all this nasty stuff that's done by Rick Baker in here. It looks fantastic. It looks so much better than any CGI we see in the horror films of today that just take you out of the movie. It just feels so much more realistic, even though you can tell it's obviously done with prosthetics and other camera trickery, but it's done by Rick Baker. And that's one thing that I noticed right away with this film. It's got the classic Cronenberg, just really out there, strange body kind of horror where his hand eventually becomes melded with the gun. It all becomes kind of one appendage. Really weird stuff that Cronenberg's known for. And it all has to do with this, big conglomerate behind the scenes, big government conspiracy trying to control people. And by watching this, these broadcasts, it's putting these tumors into people's brains and causing all this chaos and craziness.
I think Cronenberg had a lot to say in 1983, maybe against some politics that he was dealing with and being a fellow Canadian. But he's definitely saying a lot in this movie. And
Yeah.
you know what we're still dealing with, you know, all these years later, 40 years later, and how the media is still controlling us, and war and politics and greed and technology, and you know, everything all wrapped up into one. And it's still relevant, very ahead of its time back then. And definitely one of Cronenberg's better films. But what really blew me away about this movie, obviously, James Wood and Debbie Harry's character were really great, but I love the practical. Rick Baker does no wrong, and it really shows what his quality of work is like.
Yeah, this was a great film. First time watch for me. There's so much packed into this movie. You know, the meanings and the messages that Cronenberg's going for made me have to do a deep dive into, you know, the plot and what he was going for. And maybe didn't see everything watching it the first time, but as I read more about it and understood more, it made more sense. And it makes me want to go back and revisit this film because I missed a lot of the stuff in the first viewing. But for the first viewing, it was everything that I expected it to be. Classic Cronenberg, a great performance by James Woods here, Debbie Harry, Blondie playing a part in this film, and really just mirroring a lot of the crazy stuff that we're able to see through YouTube and online, and that's broadcast to, you know, children today. Even it's crazy, this world we live in, you know, everything's at our fingertips. And this stuff isn't very far from reality. What happens in this movie, some of the body horror, obviously, you know, that's what he's known for. It's obviously not real, but a lot of the messages and everything, the hallucinations and the control that the media is going for, that's really what you know, I took away from this. And that's what he's trying to portray to us as the viewers. A awesome movie to be introduced to Cronenberg. If you've never seen any of these works, Videodrome's an awesome movie and a classic. It's a classic at this point, and many consider it to be one of his very best films, and I'd have to agree with them. And it features the great tagline, "Death to Videodrome, long live the new flesh."
All the movies he puts out, he has something to say, something unique to say. You know, back in the early 80s, especially, really stood out compared to other directors, you know, doing a lot of slashers and things like that. He does more of the body horror, makes you think, and a lot of really political meanings behind his movies.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's definitely movies you have to rewatch, catch everything, and this is definitely an example of that. Definitely one of the better Cronenberg flicks for me. Not my favorite. I think Scanners is still my favorite, but this is up there in the top three. And definitely a movie you want to watch during the Halloween season. So if you've not seen Videodrome, definitely check it out. It's worth your time. So I'm giving Cronenberg's Videodrome a 4 out of 5 James Woods hair pieces.
This movie stood out for me, and I was thinking about it after watching it for many days after. It's got so much meaning packed into it. The visuals are amazing. The hallucination sequences, the body horror, the great practical effects from Rick Baker, performance by James Woods. It's just, you know, ahead of its time, and it brings you back into that time period, the 80s, the Reagan 80s, you know, what was going on politically there, and with the media trying to take control. You know, obviously at that time it was, you know, nothing compared to what it is now. It's, you know, totally involved in everything. But I think, you know, us, the viewers, are more primed and in tune with it. We can see more now. We're more knowledgeable about these things. And that's what Cronenberg was opening our eyes to this early on. And he did it with his own, you know, twisted kind of horror. So with that being said, I had a great time with this movie. Perfect movie to watch during these 31 days of horror. So with that being said, I'm going to give David Cronenberg's Videodrome a 4 out of 5 Debbie Harry hair pieces.
So I want to hear from all your Cronenberg enthusiasts out there. What did you like about Videodrome? What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite Cronenberg flick? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to click subscribe. Also, check out these wild ghouls on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news, and reviews.
Make sure to follow along with us all month long during these dastardly 31 days of horror. We're going to be back all month with some really fun reviews of movies and TV shows alike. So be sure to stay tuned to our channel. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think about these classic movies, the newer movies and TV shows that we're reviewing. We want to bring everybody on board for the fun in this great month of October. So until the next 31 Days of Horror movie review, I'm Uncle Henry Hill.
And I'm Logan Woods, signing out until the next review for 31 Days of Horror.
Cheers!